what's up, Bronco family? Get ready to dial up the good vibes because we're going to do a little bit of a thing called Bronco Back Then and Broncos Now. It's all about our amazing class of 1991. We're all back together. We want to check in on you. We're going to give you a little bit from us. And we're going to talk about all things, that were golden to us at Santa Clara University, the wild ride that everybody's had from then to now. And this isn't just a podcast. It's a chance for us to reconnect and say hello to each other and hear about your incredible journey since leaving the beautiful campus of Santa Clara University. Think of this as hitting a refresh button on old friendships, discovering what everybody's been up to since then, and just celebrating the awesomeness that is being the class of 1991 from Santa Clara University. So I just want to say welcome, get a beverage, kick back, and let's get ready to hear some fantastic stories from our very own class of 1991. Also, I'm not here by myself. I have the talented Kari Morin out of Portland, Oregon. She's joining the podcast. We've got our good friend Charles Michelet. He's out of Jersey/New York on the East Coast covering it. And then if that's not cool enough, we got somebody joining us from a completely different continent, Mike Kline, the Kliner. Welcome. And I don't know where Mike's at. He might be in Madrid. He might be in Surrey, UK. But all I know is he's here right now with us. So welcome, welcome, welcome. We're the hosts of Broncos Then and Now. And we can't wait to tell you a little bit about what we want to do and where we're taking this thing. And thank you for joining us today.
Well done.
I'm so happy to be here because this is a blast.
Fantastic. That's awesome. Great energy. Good to be here.
It's hard to get that energy on a Sunday morning, but sometimes you can find it.
Yeah, you brought it.
The funny thing is you have the most energy and you have had the most fun this weekend. So that makes no sense. Do the math on that.
Yeah, well, I think Kari's done some podcasts and Charles done obviously a lot. And this is the new thing for Mike and I, but I have done some voice work in the past. And what I always learn from that is if you think that you're over the top, you're probably not over the top enough. Like,
True.
I think people like you just talking and having a good, you got to bring a little bit of energy because it needs to come out over the mic and come in and, and you might think, oh, that's a little too over the top, or that's a little, but otherwise people don't want to engage. So it's always that thing of let's have a little energy, let's have a little fun, and just, have it try to be somewhat conversational, right? So let's do that. All right.
Let's do it. And you just came from Santa Clara. You were just there.
I was just there for the grand reunion. It was not my grand reunion. I was at the 16th or 18th Father Cause rugby dinner. They honored 2 Broncos, 79 Ross Malinowski, and class of, I think, 2013 Nick Johnson, who apparently was the first Santa Clara Bronco to play in the Major League Rugby setup. So kid just retired and he's had an amazing career with the Glendale Raptors out of Colorado. And it was a really cool dinner. And what was amazing, that young man dropped what he called the 3 C's about rugby, but I think in life it kind of applies. The 3 C's were camaraderie, courage, and character. And I thought,
I love it.
Really amazing. It was really amazing. It was sometimes you're like, I'm kind of this crusty old dude. Am I going to learn something new tonight? And some young guy, a little bit younger than me, comes in and drops the 3 C's. And you're like, those are pretty good C's, courage, just the fact of anybody getting on this microphone and getting a chance to talk to people that's there, and then camaraderie, which we have, it applies to anything. And then, what's the last one?
Character. Was it character?
We're all characters.
All the things.
We were listening. We just passed a test. That's so great.
These hangovers go on for 48 hours. I don't know what to tell you guys.
My kids' school, the K-8 school I sent them to, their 3 tenets were it was ICC, intellectual, creativity, and character, something like that. And when I hear you say that, I think about how often when my kids have met people from Santa Clara, whether I'm just meeting them and realizing they went to Santa Clara or people through me, I always say that. These people had a lot of fun and I saw them having a lot of fun, but they're such good people. They're such great characters. And it is evidenced by the connections that everyone kept. You're all in touch with so many people, and I get to, especially being in Portland, it's really easy to run into Santa Clara people here. I'm just amazed by that. I don't think everybody has that from their experience, and I feel really lucky.
Nice.
Yeah, it was good. I
AJ's.
mean, it was the class of 1990's 35th reunion, and I think, wow, 35 years. Yikes. Anyhow,
Yeah.
they were
Let's
awesome.
jump in.
They accounted for like 60% of the people that were in the hut. Um, I might have been there. The hut's kind of a shame. For those who haven't been in touch with Santa Clara in a while, the hut's got a whole new facelift. It's more like being at a Danny Myers Shake Shack. It's a little weird. Last call was 11:15 p.m. And then they throw you out in the streets at noon. Noon as in maybe midnight is what I'm looking at. It was weird, but it was entertaining. But I will tell you that the class of 90 was very well represented at the hut on Friday night.
Excellent. Yeah. Makes me look forward to our reunion
Yeah.
next year.
What?
Yeah.
What?
35
Already?
years next year?
Yep. That's it. Are we all going? I'm going to be there.
I'm going.
I'm going.
Be there. I'll be there.
Excellent. And all your dispatches from this past one got me excited for next
I
year.
know it's pretty good that Charles came with my Facebook feed. Like, you know, with a nice little shout out from Charles that we saw each other at the reunion 10 years ago. So
Right? Yeah.
I'm like, hey, nice. Stupid Facebook. You want to quit? You want to quit social media, but you can't. And the reason why you can't is because it gives you like elderly reminders that, oh yeah, Charles
Yeah.
and I were hanging out 10 years ago
It's
on this
true.
day.
So true.
You know, oh, that was a nice day. I was like, would you like to see some of your memories? Sure. Can you play them back? I don't know.
No, it's
Yeah.
true.
That was a good
It
time.
is true.
It's a love-hate.
It is a
I do love.
it is a
I
strong
love it
love
for that.
hate. Yep.
I'd love it for that. I would not be in touch or know what was going on with certain people if I wasn't there sometimes seeing it. So I agree. Yeah. So
that's what-
Mike, isn't that
Mike.
why you wanted to do this? Just
Yeah.
before our like a lead up to the reunion?
Yeah, it's the whole thing. It's hopefully we get enough interviews and people talking, people wanting to connect, and all of a sudden, we'll have a big reunion. It'd be quite fun. Yeah, absolutely.
So
Charles,
in
I
this
think you had a comment
podcast,
earlier.
the plan of the podcast is we're going to do a little bit of like back then and now. And so, you know, we want to kind of touch base with where you were then and where you are now. And so we've kind of cobbled together a few questions, a few ideas, and we're going to bring those to the people and see how they respond. So I think we should go to back then. We should get in the time machine. We should go back to 1987, perhaps. That was the year that we all started, except Charles, who was a transfer student, joined us the following year,
Fire.
which was amazing. And we never really talked about that. But I'd love to hear, like, why did Charles transfer to Santa Clara University from the East Coast?
Oh, well, my freshman year, I was at American University in Washington, D.C. And it was a turbulent year. My family moved to California, but I had already applied to colleges on the East Coast. And going out and visiting my family, I said I hadn't even considered California as a place to go to school. And I got a little jealous. And, I wasn't as happy as I thought I'd be in D.C. I wanted to be far from my family, but not that far. So when I was home for Christmas, I started looking around at colleges in California. And one of the places I visited was Santa Clara, and I fell in love with it. And I transferred and never looked back. And yeah, I was super happy. Loved the campus, loved the people. Took a little tour. I'm like, this is the place for me.
Awesome.
That's so good. By the way, they have a bunch of Kleiner, you've been set, dude. They got skateboard lockers everywhere now.
Lockers? My
That
God.
school should just be called Skateboard U. I'm like, when I walked into Benson, I looked to my right and there were all these stacks of longboards all like dialed up and lined up. And on the way to the hut on Friday, I also like 2 or 3 people skated by me. And I'm like, man, that
Wow.
recruiting video that Santa Clara did a few years ago with campus by skateboard obviously hit a note with a lot of skaters. I was really impressed. Like, you were way ahead of the curve. Like, I always think our class was like, we kind of came up with, Peralta and Sims and Tony Alva. And, we were kind of right on the beginning bits of skateboarddom. And I think it was kind of always fun to watch people at our age skating around. And now it's kind of like culturally accepted. It's not like, you're not like, because when you're a skater, like, oh, they're skaters, right? You know, and now it's like, well, I can't believe you don't have a longboard. I can't believe you don't have a shortboard. And so it was kind of cool to walk in at Benson. And Benson is like the Ritz now. I don't understand. I walk in,
That's so fun.
that's all nice. And then the grocery store downstairs has like organic options. I don't understand what's happened. I'm trying to figure it out. One thing that also gives me pause, though, which is sad, is that there's also a Narcan dispensing machine in the basement right by KSCU. And that makes me sad. I get it. I understand it. But wow, that's a real shock of the kind of what's going on in the modern world where you actually have Narcan on dispense, in a dispenser at Santa Clara. Yeah. So
I think of the basement of Benson as like a mailroom and pizza.
How's that? The
The
brass
student
That's
store
like,
in the
those are
mailroom
the
and you
two
have
things
pizza.
that come to me.
brass rail.
Mailroom and pizza
Right
is
on.
what I remember. Yeah.
I know, and now where the rugby dinner was is that's the brass rail, right? That's where you're at.
Yeah.
You're in the brass rail now.
Wow.
It's not the brass rail, right? It's a hall with amazing barbecued chicken and lasagna and make your own Caesar salad. So there you go.
There's a game room too, wasn't there?
Yes, well, there's a game room.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Forgot about that.
None of that is there, but you can get organic product in the little store.
All right, good.
So should
No.
we kind of take each other through these back then questions?
Sure, let's do it.
All right. Who wants to share a vivid, perhaps slightly embarrassing memory from your Santa Clara years that makes you smile or cringe?
I did think
And
of
we
this
can't
one.
share them
Yeah.
for each other.
But we can't help you.
Yes.
I'll start this question. I thought about this one earlier. That's before I was going to jump online with you guys, and I was just laughing. I'm like, oh my god, there's so many embarrassing moments, and this is why I'm glad I didn't live during the day of social media, because I'm sure I would, my life would have been ruined by this. And there's a few embarrassing ones on the side of bad, so I won't mention those. And there's a few people I know I have to apologize to for the. But one I was thinking of was my senior year, where I lost a bet when the Bulls beat the Portland Trail Blazers. And so the bet was we had to streak around all the houses, right? And so, we're streaking around the house. We're going at a pretty good clip. We're running. But we turn the block at New Kids on the Block, if you remember that house, New Kids on the Block. And there's some police officers. And so we
Boy.
stop running. We're trying to walk just slow enough behind the police officers so they won't see us, of course. But by this time, other people are starting to notice that, there's two guys naked running down the street, and people are starting to cheer and all that stuff. But I just remember, like, wow. I thought we'd get, run around the block in about, 30 seconds, and it turned out to be about 5 minutes and a nice walk and waving like the Queen to everyone.
Oh man.
But we did a lot of that. I remember those days at Santa Clara.
A slow streak. That's funny.
Intense.
My kids don't believe it.
Anyone else have
Wow.
one?
All right.
Go, Charles. Go. You go.
All
But
right,
I do
all right.
have one. It's not going to be too long, but I do have a very vivid and for
Okay.
cringy. Go, Carl. But
I'll-
Charles, lay it down.
I'll try to keep this short. I mean, I was such a quiet guy in school that the typical that happened right at the end. We'd already graduated. There was parties all over campus. We were hanging at one of the engineering houses. I believe it was Sloth House, and they had built a go-kart. Do you remember that? I don't know.
Yeah.
They built this go-kart with like a lawnmower engine, and you had to pull the ripcord or whatever and go. And for the mechanics of it, it's got just a gas pedal. That's it. And it's like, but I remember it was peculiar. You had to wait for it to engage into first gear before you hit the gas pedal, or it would just stall. So you just kind of sit there and it would gradually roll, and then you feel it go into second gear, and then you could hit the gas pedal and just shoot off. So we're enjoying ourselves. We're drinking a little bit, and we're having a great time running because they just closed the Alameda. So we're just tearing down these empty roads. Well, it gets dark, and you'd think the fun would be over, but somebody found a helmet, and we duct taped a flashlight to it. which was the headlight. So I had a helmet, a flashlight taped to the head. We go back out again. Off I go. And I'm screaming down the streets. And it got a little confusing because the Alameda was closed, but there were still some of the side streets. And I went right in front of some guy and he started chasing me. And I'm desperately trying to find my way back to the house with this guy behind me. And I'm not going fast. I take a turn and it slows down a little bit and I panic. I hit the gas pedal and I just sickly stall. It just cuts the engine. I stalled to a stop and the guy comes out and he's yelling at me. My friend came out and he's got me. We're pushing this thing and trying to get away. And we go past a couple of cops and they stop and they're like, "What are you guys doing?" Like, "Oh, we're just walking this thing back to the house." And they feel the engine. It's like, well, the engine feels awfully hot, and there was a firehouse there, a bunch of firemen come out. It was a nightmare. It was probably the most embarrassing evening of my life. But we got out without any tickets, just a stern warning. But yeah, probably the dumbest and most embarrassing thing I ever did. So there you have it. Now you know.
I have too many dumb and embarrassing things. I'm not going to go. I'm not proud. It is reported that my freshman year that my blood alcohol level was higher than my GPA, which is true. I may have been written up many times freshman year living in Swig. And so much so that I may have been on academic probation my last quarter freshman year at Santa Clara. And I was on probation and I had to get I was below a 2.0. It was embarrassing. As a good student in high school, apparently I forgot how to be a good student for a year. That said, though, when I got busted, I think I was my 6th or 7th write-up. I had to do some level of community service. And this is no joke. You guys, I don't know if you guys know this. I had to go to women's self-defense class and be the kick dummy for the class.
I forgot about this.
All right.
I remember this now.
I was in one of the done multi-purpose rooms. There was like a really thin, drop mat, and I had to put on like this padded, like crazy predator suit. And then every woman in the class got to elbow smash me and kick me in the nuts. And that went on for about 25 minutes. And nothing like doing, what's your community service? You got to be the kick dummy for women's self-defense class. I do think that the value of that was that, the world's a scary place. It's a very scary place for women. Now, as a father of a 16-year-old daughter, I mean, we talk about these things all the time. I'm glad these conversations are happening. And actually, it's really weird. I'm glad I went to that class because when you hear the statistics of what happens to women in general, it's horrific. It's appalling.
Yeah.
But I was also just totally blown away by like the women in that class were not taking any crap. And I took a lot of beatings on that evening, but I learned a lot about that. I guess when you get written up 6 or 7 times and they say, you got to do community service, and the school says, we got an idea, and they put you in a kick dummy suit, you accept that and you take your beating because it's for the better. And it was pretty wild. It was pretty wild. I taught I learned that lesson when I taught my daughter. I said, you either kick him in the nuts or grab, pull, and twist and run. Oh. And that's it. And I'm like, that is a reality. That's a sad reality. It's a sad reality, but it was
you in that role
learned. Yes.
I remember that. I remember that people, like, I think it was a sold out class.
Sure it was. Everybody wants to take a rip on the kick dummy. And I was the kick dummy.
That's funny. I don't think I was in that class, but I totally remember that. You just reminded me, you're making me switch stories that of what I was going to share. My sister wrote me up freshman year.
Wow.
She was an RA in the building, and she was on duty with, I don't know his real last name, but we called him John Love a Write-Up.
Oh, John Love a Write-Up.
Yeah, and she was on duty with him, and she came by mine and Jackie's room like 3 times to warn us. And she's like, if I come back, I'm going to have to, do something. And certainly she did. And I gave her so much crap about that. But really, she did me a solid because she only wrote up me and not anybody else, not anyone else in the room. But I made her pay for that. I had to go to I forget what you have to do. Like I had to go to some class or write something. And I just gave her hell for so long. And then when I was a senior, when I got back from studying abroad, I applied to be an RA for my senior year because my parents were like, room and board's on you, your junior and senior year. So this is what my siblings and I did. My senior year, I was on duty and went by, it was like if you could violate every single rule in one, this one girl, basically. We walked by so many times, because you don't really want to have to do your job. You're kind of like, be smart. That's kind of, I always try to adopt that as a parent. If you make me have to do it, this is going to suck. So I kept, stomping by. The door was open and she was like in the middle of passing a keg through a window.
Jeez.
And then I can't remember what else was going on, but it was the funniest thing because at a certain point we had to go in and deal with this. And then we had to, because I forget who I was on duty with, but he was like, we can't confiscate this because a lot of RAs would do that. They would just confiscate it and go enjoy it. And he made her pour the entire thing down her sink, which was super
Wow.
painful. And I remember thinking, what were you thinking? All you had to do was close your door. Anything going through a window. Do you guys remember? That was such a big fine. It was such a huge deal. And this was on the first floor of Walsh. So it was an easy, people were passing
That's easy
things through.
transfers, we like to say.
Exactly. But I'll never forget that. She was literally passed out halfway, she was kind of just couldn't grab it and was trying to get it into her room, and poor thing. And I felt so bad at that point. It's not like I was her sister, but I just remember the symmetry of that, being the idiot and then having to be the person who's ruining someone's day. Yeah, right. RA stories are funny because I don't think we took them that seriously. And then when I was one, they had a sense of that. And friends of ours who lived off campus our senior year, like Doherty and Dice and those guys, they would come kidnap Beth and I when we were both RAs, and they'd take us to the hut or somewhere else, when we were on duty. And so we called those big rounds. We would do rounds and then go to the hut and then come back.
Big rounds.
Yeah. Yeah. That's way less embarrassing than the story I was going to tell.
The fact
Now
that you
we're
were
intrigued.
kidnapped on rounds is a little much.
Yeah. They scaled up into our windows. They were serious. We were not going to escape that. That was no.
There were RAs that were really nice, though. I mean, it's amazing. I'll call her out because she was so nice. Because I got a lot of leeway, shall we say? But Michelle Mackey on 11th floor swig, the nicest.
She was great.
And then what's really weird is that you're now living back in Sonoma, and you go into a tasting room, and who's behind the tasting room bar? Michelle Mackey from Sonoma, who's now Michelle Hogan, and she lives in Sonoma. I get to see her all the time, and she's still as lovely as she was then. And I'm still as grateful I'm still as grateful as I ever have been that she was always taking pity on my stupidity, and I appreciate her for that.
She was nice. I saw her. I guess I won't name other people who did this, but I saw her have to deal with extreme nakedness from the fourth floor guys, and she just handled that so classy.
Extreme.
I think
Nice.
being an
That's
RA
a new
is a
term,
whole
extreme nakedness.
You talk about a calling. Being an RA is definitely a calling. I got to tell you. I mean, we had Scott Voke on 9th floor, and poor Scott was like, "I've had enough of this." And then we had Saul on 2nd floor done, and he was awesome. But I think it's kind of funny. You think who's on rounds tonight, right? If you're the Shawshank done, right? And what cop's on the rounds? The cop that's going to give you cigarettes and a pickaxe, and then there's some guys that are you don't want them coming to flip your cell, So
Yeah.
there were definitely different types of RAs, shall we say?
Yeah.
But they are all you gotta sit back down and go what were those? I mean, you're talking about you're a 17 or 18-year-old freshman, and some poor 21, 22-year-old's your RA, and that's just got to be completely unrewarding. It's just you're getting your room and board, but man, that's a lot especially like the 4th floor swig in our year was a little. I mean, love those guys, some of my favorite people, but they like to they like to redline it quite a bit. Let's just say that. It was pretty entertaining.
That was a fun floor. I will say this about being an RA, and just a plug, because we're all parents now, and I think that the RAs at my kids' schools do jack, like they do nothing. And when the hurricane hit Tulane, I said, Peter, what are the RAs saying? It's like they left first, so they were gone.
No.
And I will say about Santa Clara, even though kind of an insane person was in charge at the time, they intensely trained us for a lot of mental health stuff, like more stuff than we were qualified for, but they did a good job training us. And so when I think about some of the things I hear about, on college campuses now, I'm like, what are the RAs doing? And the answer is always like, Jack, they do nothing. So I will say, I think we were given a lot of responsibility, and we were like the first line of, sometimes. I mean, yeah, I was pretty lax on the write-ups, except for that one. I was forced to. But when it came to like worrying about what was going on with people, I think for the most part, we weren't like clueless. We were intervening sometimes when we had to. And so that part of it was pretty rewarding. I mean,
Well,
it's not always
you guys,
fun.
I'll include you in the group. I think RAs did a really good job of trying to prioritize you as a student. And when we didn't really talk about mental health, I think that the people who were RAs their emotional quotients were pretty high for the most part. I mean, some people never really going to get that number to go very far, but like for the most part, I was always impressed by how overly understanding maybe people were, like the patience level, it's going to be like kids are going to be kids, or college kids are going to be college kids. But I do think that they did have your best interests at heart, and they were thinking, I just want to make sure I can get you out the door in 4 years, and I don't want to be the person who's going to call your parents with some horrible news. And I always thought like that's a real upside to, I think, the care that people did have for us, so.
Yeah. No, they were. I really look back and I have a lot of respect for what they what they required of us in order to do it. So, yeah, it
Who
did
knew we
not
were going to
prepare
pay
me.
out RAs on this show? What's happening?
I know. Sorry about that. I will say
assistants are getting a payout.
it didn't
Shout
prepare
out.
me for the boa constrictor coming down the hall in the middle of the night when I came home, stumbling from the hut. But other than that, yeah, it's good.
We're supporting the establishment. Look at us. We're sellouts. It's unbelievable. Can't believe it.
Terrible. All right. Oh, who wants to who has a good study spot on campus or a good hangout spot? Because I'm curious about that. I cannot remember mine. I mean, I sort of do. I feel like it was Mission Gardens, but what about you guys?
Well, studying was always the
Yeah.
library if I studied. If I made it past the parties, and didn't turn towards the hut. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's because during the day I had labs, and then during after labs I had to go to lacrosse practice. So by nighttime, I didn't really ever get to take advantage of Mission Gardens, unfortunately.
Yeah, I didn't spend any time in Mission Gardens maybe once in a while. I do know that I didn't. Well, let's put it this way: I didn't really go to study anywhere the first 2 years at Santa Clara. I'll just be honest, and I couldn't do it. I'd go to the library and fall asleep. That's not a very productive day. But there was the law. Wasn't it like there was the law school lounge right off of Benson? Like, and if you could
Yes.
wiggle into that place
That
was
was
like
nice.
posh. That was like because your friends couldn't find you in the library and they would never think, wow, you went in the law school lounge? Yeah. I'm hiding out there. Why not? They're not going to find you. They know I'm not pre-law. It's great. So that was a good place to hide out. If I was actually really thinking about studying, that was a pretty good study place.
My brother gave me this great advice because he was also Santa Clara grad. His advice was study during the day. Just, get your classes and studying done.
Yeah.
So you can, just if you get it done during the day while other people are in class, you're going to be able to enjoy whatever's going on. And I took that to heart after my first quarter. I think my first quarter I was not doing enough, but I did. I started having early classes and studying, and so that I could just, go to whatever in the evening. And that helped me get by.
Well, and weren't we the first year that they didn't have Wednesdays were no longer a thing, right? Like, isn't that right?
Forgot about that.
Remember that?
I
We
forgot
were the
about
first
that.
ones.
So remember,
That's
school
right.
Santa Clara was set up where basically Tuesday night was like your second Friday night, which was
Yeah.
genius. Like, what a great idea. But yeah, the Santa Clara used to not have school on Wednesday. And I think we were the first class to come in and the Wednesday was no longer in the cards, right? Then you had to set your schedule. How you had to set your schedule. I would tell you my best grade point quarter and best study year was my senior year. I had all my classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I basically had a 5-day weekend every week was a 5-day weekend, and then Wednesdays were immensely difficult because you had to get your stuff done on that day. So it was like, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then, I'm done again for a while. But that worked out pretty good. I was in school all day on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but it worked out.
Charles, what about you?
Charles, yeah.
I just remember studying in the room. My roommate was computer science, and I had one of those giant computers that my parents lent me, and he was able to connect it to the computer lab. So we would write back and forth like in early text messages, which seemed crazy at the time. Now I think back, it's like, wow, I only realized this would have been something, but we just thought it was hilarious having him across campus, and we'd just be texting back and forth, stuff like that. Yeah, just hanging out in the room.
Nice. I also remember just trying to find a computer that you could use. The computer library would be the computer lab. Remember the computer lab? There's always like a limited number of computers. You had to sign in early to get a computer, or you had to find a friend who had a computer. And I just remember at times just trying to find a computer anywhere.
Yeah, that's why my roommate lucked out because we had one. You could use the one that I brought. So he just, he set it up nice.
Well, all those kids that had those IBMs, right? Everybody that had the green screen IBMs were like the cool kids because they're usually engineering guys. Like they had nice, But what if you had to print something? You had to go to the print lab. We had a print on a dot matrix printer that was like,
oh my God. I remember like pulling the perforations off.
Oh my God. You would send your print order, right? Okay, I'm going to print. And then they give you like an ETA for your print. It's like 7 hours later, you could go get your paper. Like you literally like, dude, I got to time it out where I got to hit the print button at 5 p.m. so I get my paper at 8 a.m. the next morning. Like what is happening?
God forbid there's a paper jam. You ruined.
I was making my kids laugh because I remember in Dunn, one of our RAs, which is a good friend of mine and probably all of it, Dave Stoll, and he had one of those little cube Macs, with a printer in there, and that was just luxury. So if you couldn't, get something printed, then you'd have to go to him, but figure out how to get it on his Mac to print it. That was such a weird reality. And then Jackie, my roommate, had one of those typewriters that kind of did the auto, like
the word processor. Like you were in good shape with that bad boy. You're like, all right, because then you'd be like, if the print lab's not going to have my paper done for 8 hours, I'm just gonna go chicken picking and I'll get that paper done in 5 hours versus 8 hours. Like, where's the efficiency in that? There's no efficiency.
It's so crazy to think about that because our kids they all have all their laptops and there's printers everywhere. Not that they work any better, but
or they just send it in online
from your phone. Like you hit a printing from my phone. Like what?
They don't even print anymore. They just send it.
Yeah, I was laughing and explaining. Oh, sorry. I was laughing, explaining to my kids what a blue book is.
Yeah,
you remember when blue books for finals? Oh my God, my kids are like,
that's right. They don't do that anymore.
I read some of my blue book stuff, and I'm like, wow, I actually used to be able to do some critical thinking. I'm really happy about that. It's in pencil.
Critical thinking.
It's cursive. I'm like, wow, I was cooking.
It came
from
your own brain too. You didn't get it.
Came from my brain.
AI. That was authentic intelligence. Good for you.
Oh, I like that.
Authentic intelligence. Nice. That's good. There you go.
It's organic. Okay. I love this question. I almost skipped it. What about favorite professors or any stories about that? Because I think we all have great ones. And I like that we're all from different academic backgrounds, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
Although, Jay, we are in the same.
You guys are both
communication guys,
right?
but comm is a wide topic, Charles, isn't it?
That's
true. Yeah.
So who are yours, Charles? Who was yours?
Go, Charles. What do you got?
I love Susan Felter, the photography teacher.
Yeah.
She was fantastic. I loved her classes in the dark room, developing that's a lost art now. That was just such a great time. And I also had to mention John Previtt. He was fantastic. The television production.
Yep.
He was fantastic. I
Father
loved him.
Prevent was awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
How
You
about
know,
you, AJ?
I had Beers for English, right? I took a class. I took a class that was like, I'll tell you, it was probably one of the best classes I took at Santa Clara was, it was like editing. It was an editing class. So you had to write, you only wrote 4 papers, but you had to write each paper 4 different ways. So one for brevity, one for storytelling, one from a journalistic standpoint. So you had 4 different cracks at 4 papers. And, you know, writing is editing. Editing is just, it's so important to think about, how am I going to get those, you know, AI, authentic intelligence across? And I remember him and I sitting out on the fire escape. We had a student, you know, professor chat up. He's like, let's go sit on the fire. Like, I'm like, I'm not on a fire escape. I think off of St. Joe's. And he was just, what was kind of cool was like, it was that breakthrough of like, oh, professors are people, right? And they just want you to be the best person you can be. And I think the best lesson I got from Tim was, you know, besides editing, like editing is so critical just to getting out the right thing that you want to say. But like, he's also like, don't, but he was also like, don't edit yourself. Like, write your authentic voice. Like, don't, don't write what you think I want to hear, what somebody else wants to hear. Write what you feel. And so he's like, if you need to swear or you need to write something that's a little crass or a little off color, it's okay, because that's what good writing is. Like, get out of the way of yourself. And I thought, because he's like, you've got a lot of ideas, get them down on paper and see if it works. And I thought it was great advice. Like, it's like, you don't have to edit your thought process, like put it all out. And then after you see it all, then you can go in and edit it and kind of put the words in the way you want it to be. But like, I always felt like, be fearless in your thought process and your writing. And I thought that was pretty cool. That was a good life lesson.
Cool. How about you, Mike?
Gosh, I wish I could remember like all the phenomenal professors I had at Santa Clara, because I really do think I had a good list of science professors, and they're so knowledgeable about their topics. Even one of them, I think he taught OChem in like multiple languages and stuff like that. So I mean, just to understand where you had at chemistry in one language, and to be able to do that in multiple languages. So I was always very impressed. I think also, I think Elderly Rooks, I think that was her name, how she was like studying ants out in the middle of like the Amazon or something, then coming back to Santa Clara and teaching. I'm like, this is amazing. But so I think definitely a lot of high, really intelligent professors that really challenged us. And I think what I learned more at Santa Clara anything else is just the critical thinking. You mentioned that
Hmm.
a little while ago, AJ. It's just that critical thinking aspect. But then also I do laugh because probably one of my favorite moments at Santa Clara was I took a creative writing class. I'm a science major, but I think we had to take a few electives, right, or a few things. And English was never a good subject for me going forward. But I couldn't believe I actually got an A on one of my papers, and it's only because this professor really just worked with me. She took time, office hours, and she would say, Mike, this is how you should, form your paragraph, and this is how you start the story. This is, and it was just, I was so happy, like, oh my God, A. I still don't think my mom ever believed me that I got an A on an English paper, but I
That's
think,
awesome.
just the fact that the teacher's always there for their office hours and they're available. And AJ, you mentioned that I wasn't always the best student, that's for sure. So I know a lot of these professors had a lot of leeway that they gave us. No question about it.
Yeah, I would say so. In poli sci, there were so many good ones, and given during that time, like when I was studying in Europe, the wall came down and, like all the maps got redrawn. Coming back, Jane Curry was incredible because she specialized in Poland and Eastern Europe, and she had spent so much time there. And so there was no textbooks, and it was just really cool working with her. Peter Minowitz was another one who I absolutely loved. He definitely would, make me rewrite things a bunch, but it made me a much better writer. And then in French, for 4 years in high school, I was like great in French, but my teacher was from Dallas. And so I really had no idea how to listen to French that wasn't in a Southern accent. So I got to college and I was like, oh my God, I don't understand a thing. And so Catherine Montfort, there was a lot of great French professors there. And there was a French cinema class that I absolutely loved. I don't remember that guy's name, but Catherine Montfort was really patient and wonderful. And I don't think I would have stayed with the minor if it weren't for her. So I guess both of them. But I agree that taking like some of my most memorable classes were not in my major, like art history or New American Religions, which was all about cults. And, like I can't remember. There was like another English one about like Hollywood and fiction. Really great classes. I think I always tell people when they're going to college, I'm like, go take some classes out of your major and just have a blast with it because you'll meet people you wouldn't meet otherwise. So yeah, when I think of this, I think, God, I wish I had like appreciated it more because I wasn't always a great student. In some classes, I just kind of like I'd sign up for an 8 o'clock class and just barely get through it. So I don't know why I did that.
Isn't that the truth? I mean, it's like, I don't want to like call it one. Like we could go down like Tim O'Keefe, who taught the history of Ireland, was awesome. Like he brought John Hume to our classroom, who
So
helped
cool.
who helped get them the peace accords, and and that was all going on, right? Like in John Hume's house had been firebombed by the UDC and Sinn Féin, and like that was pretty powerful stuff. And like Dwight Hopkins, I think slave narratives for a history class, and like Cornell West came to Santa Clara, and so Cornell was a guest of Professor Hopkins, Dr. Hopkins, and that was super empowering. Like that was super cool. And then Charles, as majors, right, as comm majors, you had to do your thesis, right, the big senior thesis, and I don't think I could have ever really gotten through that if it wasn't for Dr. Christine Bachman, who was so amazing.
Yes,
and
she
was
was
so
great.
cheering for you, right? Kind of like when professors are like, I think you can do this, right? And so I wouldn't have not survived Santa Clara if it wasn't for my thesis partner, Judy Bannon. Thank you, Judy, for getting me through. I appreciate you very much. If you see this, and it just there's so many good teachers. Father Art Liebscher. I mean, you go down the list. Sukup was great, and I mean, yeah. I mean, when you can still remember those professors 35 years later, I think they've done something for you somewhere in your life. Like, and I try to find. There's a Patricia Bendikite who was my public speaking teacher freshman year, and she was so funny and so straightforward and really honest. And she's like, hey kid, I know you can talk, but she says you just can't look like you rolled out of bed and gave a speech. And so she used to give me notes, and my class was at 8 o'clock, so that I was already down by law as a freshman. 8 a.m. class, and I often would roll out of bed and show up, and like I'd be in wrinkled pants and a wrinkled shirt, like it was my presentation day, and she's like, look it. You got to have the whole package. She goes, yeah, the voice is great. Yeah, your presentation is great. But like when I look at you, you look like a crumpled mess. And I thought, okay, fair enough. So, and I tried to find her. I can't find her. I would love to. I still think about her today. I laugh at that statement of like, you can't look like you just rolled out of bed. And I thought, that's a good life lesson. You tell your kids that, like, dude, I mean, can you just maybe throw that shirt in the dryer and get the wrinkles out for 5 minutes? I don't know. But like, even those basic small life lessons carry you every day. So I guess we are kind of fortunate to have been surrounded by so many people that you didn't think they cared, but they did care. Right. And so,
Totally.
I think when you're thinking about them, you're like, yeah, I did learn something in that class that day. I may have been there just physically and not mentally, but like apparently some of it rubbed off, and you should be happy for those moments, right? So
Yeah.
Some things you guys said, I don't know about, you mentioned 8 o'clock classes. I still have dreams where I've missed my 8 o'clock class and I'm showing up to the final with no clue. And I'm like, I thought I dropped this class. I still have that dream on occasion.
That's a sign
it
of a high achiever, I think.
is it? Oh God, it blows my mind. I can't, I hate that dream.
It's a sucky dream, or that for some reason you have to go back to 8th grade because there was something that like didn't get checked off or something. Those are sucky dreams.
You didn't graduate.
I'm like, what am I doing in a uniform? This is so weird. Yes, those dreams suck. AJ, when I listen to you say that, I think, oh my gosh, the mom in me so many times was wishing a teacher would say, younger than college, but would say, great presentation, but it looks like crap. Like, why don't you like make this neater or something? And they were so indulgent of it. They were like, it's great. And I was like, somebody's got to tell him that's not me. That like it looks terrible. Like actually how you present it is going to matter. So I love that you got a lot out of that. And I feel like we all did. And I don't I don't see that as much anymore. I'm always looking for the coach and the teacher that's going to be a little bit tough and
Well,
critical.
you have to be like you got to be. And so I guess I want to say like so in my professional career, right? I've been in entertainment for 30 plus years. I have a lot of young people call me for advice or mentorship or like and they'll send me their reels, right? They send me their portfolio, and it's clear nobody's ever given them any guidance into what they should be showing. Like I get the reel and I'm like, look it, when I ask to see your stuff, I don't need your entire portfolio. I don't need show me and curate what's best about you. Just give it to me. I don't want 40 minutes of just, if I see a bunch of mediocrity or I see a misspelled word, or I mean, I could go down the list of things that I call out. I'm like, you have to have a critical eye, because when you get one shot. So if somebody's going to open your resume and they're going to look at your CV and they're going to look at your portfolio, you better grab that person right away. And you can't just be like, well, here I am. Well, here I am isn't good enough. Like, you got to be like, this is why you want me. This is why you should hire me. And like, I think from a Santa Clara standpoint, they didn't mess around. Like, there is that critical eye. Like, be smart about what you're showing me. Don't show me everything, and certainly don't show me your worst work. And a lot of young people think, well, it's my work. And I'm like, that's fine, but do you think it's good? And I'll ask them, like, do you think this is a good representation of your work? And they're like, well, no.
Yeah.
I go, then why are you showing it to me? I need you
Yeah.
to think about getting an A, not a C. As much as
This is
I
the
was
wisdom we have.
as much as a C student as I was, I do know what A work looks like, right? So you got to do that. You just got to do it. You can't just roll out of bed. You got to have a little more thought than just rolling out of bed. So
That's interesting.
I keep saying to my kids, like, you will learn a lot going and working for someone from Gen X. I swear, just because we had a lot of that, kind of feedback and criticism, but it shaped how we work. And I think, they don't always want to hear it from their parents, but when they do interact with somebody who gives them that kind of feedback, it really does up level them, I think. So I think that's excellent.
well, show up on
People are
time.
lucky if they're
That's the
coming
other
to
thing
you.
too. Like, you know what? Show up on time, and on time is 10 minutes early. I mean, I'm not going to be a grouchy SOB, but like, I can't tell you how many meetings I go to and people show up 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late. And like, there's no disregard. There's utter disregard for everybody else. Like, if you show up 10 minutes late, A, you better apologize. Sorry, I was late, X, Y, and Z, or whatever. But like, I can't deal. I just can't. I tell my kids, my daughter is just drags it out to the very last second to get her to school, and she just got detention for 4 tardies. And I'm like, you know what? You need to prepare better. I said, you can act like it doesn't matter, but it does. It matters. It's a message that you send to the teacher. It's a message you send to your classmates. Like, your attitude is like, I don't care. I don't want class to start on time because I'm not there. And so you are basically either holding up the process or you're being extremely rude or inconsiderate to everybody else in that room. So get off my lawn. No, but seriously, show up on time. Be on time.
Well,
All right.
Well, that's a value
there's
for
a lot of
sure.
those easy things, isn't there? Show up on time, have a good attitude, work hard, and it doesn't cost you anything.
It's free. Please and thank you are free. And
I
here's my
did
favorite
laugh
one.
at
Tell people you love them. Love is
yeah,
free. Like, if you say, hey, I love you, that does a lot for somebody. You may not think so, or a smile or a handshake or a hug, but like,
true.
come on. Life lessons.
Should we wrap with this one? Like, you could go back to Santa Clara for just one day. What's the first thing you would do? Well, you just did that. So you go first.
Yeah. You were just there.
I
What's
was
the
just
first thing you
there.
did,
Look, I
AJ?
was just there. Like, what's the first thing you would do if you could go back? You know what? I tell you what. I told you guys. I told it in the run up before we started recording this thing that I'm always, there's something about the mission. I mean, I'm just saying, there's always something about the mission. Like, I'll go to school. I usually got to swing by and stop there and check it out. And there's something about that building, that structure. But what's more important were the people inside. Whether you're going for I heard welcome mass this year was in Levy. So welcome mass for the school this year, because I had a buddy of mine who was just down there, and they were going to the Niner game and thought, oh, let's go to 10 o'clock mass at the mission. And it ended up being in Levy. But I think what's kind of cool about that is, we in some weird way have gotten away from, a lot of people gotten away from their faith, or like, COVID kind of wasn't the best thing that happened to a lot of people. And I think when you take away people's ability to congregate, to go to church, to be with each other in that way, it wasn't super beneficial, I think, on the whole for society. And I think one of the things that was interesting about being at Santa Clara was your mom and dad weren't making you go to church anymore, but I ended up going to church on my own, of my own volition. I found people that I wanted to go to mass with. I stopped going to keg mass at 10 p.m. at night because it was a little too social, a little too much noise for me. But I used to think it was so funny that everybody'd have their 10 p.m., what did you do last night at the, wherever you were, whatever party that was. And so keg and mass was a little much, but like, I do find the church, the mission, very calming. And I feel like, when I walk in, it's a place of reverence and respect and community. And it really is. And so when I walked by the mission last night, or on Friday night, and it's all lit up, and it's just a kind of a constant reminder that's the focal point of your community, whether you're Catholic or not Catholic. And I don't think that matters as much as, like, that's the center of your community, and established in 1851. And I think it's important. I think it's important to be able to congregate, to be with one another, to support one another, love one another. And so I think going to mission is always a good stop off, as a reminder of just who we are, where we're from. Uh, it's an instant iconic visualization that you go, oh yeah, I'm at home. I'm in Santa Clara. And I think that's that's uh that's the first thing. And it was the first thing
Yep,
when you
yep,
drove into school. Like that's before all the new buildings.
yep.
The mission's the mission. And then
Yeah.
of course by
Yeah.
extension the Mission Gardens. But like, it's a thing. I mean, it's on the logo. It's on everything. Like it's your iconic branding. It's branding before there's branding. So there you go.
How about you, Charles?
Well, I guess the last time I was back, about 10 years ago for the last reunion, it was disorienting to be on campus because it had been the first time in 25 years since I've been back. And I had some extra time and I walked into St. Joseph's, and I was not prepared for the emotional impact of seeing that staircase again. I
Mm.
walked in there and I was immediately transported, and it actually caught me off guard. It made me, you know, like a weird mixture of happy and sad. And that I was unprepared for, but it really struck me. It really resonated very deeply with me. So I think if I went back again, I would just redo my steps for a day. Like I never went back. I didn't go back. I was in Walsh for 2 years, sophomore and junior, and then we moved off to those apartments they always threatened they're going to tear down. They probably did. But I would retrace my steps because walking the campus was always very powerful. Beautiful, beautiful campus. And it did. It took me back in a way that I didn't really expect. And I'd like to, it made me feel good. I would do that again.
Well, that's awesome. Mike?
Yeah, I'm with Charles. I think, just walking the campus is amazing. And of course, we don't have to cross the Alameda anymore, right? But just I had the same feeling the few times I've gone back to Santa Clara. I have the same feeling of nostalgia. It takes me right back to being a student, skateboarding across campus or walking to lacrosse practice or trying to go into the library. It's fun to revisit that. It's and it's just like, oh, here I am today. But, yeah, for me, it's definitely just tour the campus, see the sites, see where I'm not even sure if the alumni sciences building has been refurbished or whatnot. I remember there's a big crack in it from one of the earthquakes. It'd be interesting to go back to some of the old lecture halls and just, sit in them. Is quite funny. To me, that's fascinating. Then, of course, hopefully next year we'll have the reunion. The lacrosse game will be happening. Hopefully I can step onto the field and play.
Nice.
And Kari, what about
Guessing,
you?
I'm guessing rugby will do that too, AJ. I'm assuming.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we do. Yeah, they played. I didn't go to the game yesterday. The last time I played was 10 years ago, right? I did play at our the 10-year, or what year would that have been, 25 year reunion.
Yeah.
I played.
Yeah.
I am gonna try. I'm gonna try and play next year. Like I played in flip flops last year, or the last time
I
I
remember
played in
you
flip
did. I
flops.
remember I
Well,
saw
I
you on
had
the
to
field.
because
So,
I was gonna play barefoot, right? I was gonna play barefoot, but like Bellamy's no longer grass; it's artificial surface, and it was super hot that weekend we were there. I mean, everybody was at the pool at the Fairmont, and it was really nice. And I went to go play barefoot because I'm fine playing barefoot, and I walked on that artificial surface, and literally my feet were burning. That surface gets
oh,
so hot that plastic cooks up so badly that I'm like, all right. So all I had was flip flops. I didn't have any cleats. So I'm setting a scrum down in flip flops because I'm like, well, I don't want to burn my feet. And yeah, I don't know. We'll see. My goal is to drop another 25, 30 pounds. And if I do that, I'll play next year. So that's my goal.
All right. So, Kari.
mine, I would have said what AJ would say. My sister got married there. I love the Mission. I did have to avoid that late evening mass, or else it was just more social time.
I always enjoyed 10
But
p.m.
honestly, when I go there, which has been less frequent than a lot of people, but especially with my kids, it's like I love the entrance. And then what I want to do from there is go over to Kennedy Mall, which is so different now. The memory of that space between those four buildings and the time, because I mean, I was freshman, sophomore, and senior year. I was in one of those three buildings, right? And then junior year, when I got back from overseas, I was in the condos. But the time, like I was there a lot in that space. So it's like, that's always what I want to do is like do that first and then, do like a bigger loop. But I had the same feeling in certain academic buildings too, Charles. Like it's a weird flood of emotions with your younger self. It's pretty cool. Yeah, what a beautiful, visceral place it is. My brother sent a photo of the Mission yesterday because he's there at his reunion. And God, I mean, it's always so beautiful. The sky's so blue. I'm in Portland where it's rainy right now. The sky is so blue, the palm trees, and that there's just such a rich, like full of memories for us. So yeah, I love it.
Hey, Kari, I do have something about Kennedy Mall. This is going to be completely insane and off topic, but were you ever attacked by the birds in Kennedy Mall?
Oh my God.
My sister and I were just talking about this. Yes. And what's worse is I was definitely camped out. I remember like me, Matt Roberts, Dave Stoll, Beth, like we were all up in some room in Swig, just camped out, drinking beer, watching it and enjoying the snot out of that. Like just watching people get attacked by it. It was like a show.
Crazy.
It was.
And it was just,
I
but
love
yes,
watching
like if
people.
any of us, if we ever had our hair up like this, which we often did,
Yeah.
it just would like come for the nest, It
they
was
just
If
sweep down.
if you are blonde or strawberry colored haired female, you were getting attacked.
Yeah.
9 times out of 10.
I know.
And I do remember, though, I do have a friend who may have carried a tennis racket with her and was able to smash one of the birds.
Man.
The
Oh my
bird came for her.
gosh.
The bird came for her, and she overhand smashed. I think they're starlings. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it's some type of a black bird, and
They're vicious.
somebody did get off a pretty good overhand smash on one of the birds. It
Well,
didn't stop the birds.
I was on the 10th floor and we definitely like that was just our entertainment instead of studying sometimes. We would just kind of camp out. I wasn't on that side of the building, so we'd be in someone's room watching it and just dying laughing the whole time.
I was on
think it
that
was
side of the
Becky.
building on the 9th floor, and I'm not trying to say I would laugh a lot, but I had a lot of laughs. Because
We
you hear
did.
the
We laughed a lot. It's so
screaming
funny.
and screeching and like birds
Well,
bombing people.
It's
if
terrifying.
it happened to you,
God.
it gave me more justification laughing at others.
Yeah, I saw someone knocked off her bicycle. It was
No!
awful.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's still a thing, like the same time of year. Is
wonder.
it still
Maybe.
We should
I don't
find
know.
out.
the
We should
dive
find out.
bombing birds?
If you know, let us know. Send us a note
Send-
at crossingthealameda@gmail.
I have 2 friends with kids in Swig right now. I will text their kids.
Excellent.
I
Excellent.
would love to
My
hear the
God.
news on that one.
Awesome. This is fun.
This
The
is
time
great.
flies.
It does. It does.
All right.
My goodness. Hey,
Thanks
well,
for
on behalf
listening.
of Crossing the Alameda, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. It's been a joy and a pleasure. If you got any notes or you want to be on the show, email us at crossingthealameda@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to get some support and love. Kari, Mike, Charles, any last words? What do you got?
I
It's
just
great
love
to
talking.
reconnect.
Yeah, I love talking with you guys. This is like the best part of the week.
I just think I can't wait to have people on that can share their answers to these. Just you three jog all of my memories, and it's really fun bringing it back this way. So can't wait to hear more.
I'm so
Excellent,
excited
yeah.
to hear that, Kari. I'm with you on that. You know, I thought this would be fun, but I just can't. This brings so much more back to my memories and just like refreshes a lot of things. It is kind of hitting the reswitch button on these things and kind of having those memories brought back. It's fun. It's brilliant.
Right on.
Brilliant. Is my
Yeah, I do say brilliant now a lot to be in the UK. I say rubbish, brilliant, petrol.
And how do you say goodbye? And
Oh,
when you're
goodbye.
in,
Goodbye.
yeah,
The
just
one
goodbye.
word that
No,
has
it's
changed
not like
for me.
Cheerio or something.
No,
Cheerio.
no, I say
Ta-ta.
goodbye. Bye. I have said ta on a few occasions. Yes, that's true.
All right, cool.
You guys
Awesome.
said ta.
But the one that cracks me up is water. I say water now instead of water. Water. Probably because my
It's
kids
much
give me so
more
much.
elegant.
My kids give me the word. Say the number 40.
4Z.
For
Well, say that like 40, right?
40.
40.
Americans pronounce it very much with a D. 40.
Yeah, 40.
40.
Yeah.
Oh, my kids drives me. What's that? 40. They're like, no, it's 40. 40. 40. 40. A few things
That's
I haven't
right.
let go of.
That's funny. All right, did we sign off?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're signing off. Hey,
All right.
catch us
Until next
later.
time.
We'll be back. We'll be back in action. Hopefully, we'll have more laughs and reflecting back on what was and what can be. So,
Excellent.
Mike, did you like my tag phrase? Like, look both ways, when
Look
crossing the Alameda with open eyes and an open heart. What
I
kind
love
of crap is that?
I do
Amen.
How
think
about
it's
new
very
agey
sweet.
stuff? We're not going to go there.
Very
Sorry.
sweet.
Just be safe out there,
I
people.
love it.
It's like my favorite thing. Like, I used to, Hill Street Blues. Like, what is it? Let's be safe out there, everybody.
Look both ways and hold my beer.
Look both ways and hold my beer. I've been kidnapped and dragged to the hut because I'm on big rounds or grand rounds or what was it? Long rounds.
I'm
Big
an RA
rounds.
on sabbatical for an hour.
This
Yeah.
episode brought to you by the RAs of Santa Clara University.
Who were drinking at the hut.
But you did not know. Okay, well, I
Awesome.
hope you guys have a great Sunday.
Thank you. You too.
You too.
Charles, you're not available next Sunday, correct?
Correct. Next Sunday, I'm not available.
I'm not available the Sunday after that. I'll be flying back from visiting my son at Vermont.
Nice.
Vermont. Is that in
Can
Burlington?
we try
Yeah.
next Saturday, you think?
Can I just say, what's that?
Can we try next Saturday? Does that work for people?
I could do next Saturday.
I can do next Saturday, I think.
I could do Saturday. Are you gone the whole weekend, Charles?
I won't be available the whole weekend.
Dare you not be
Unfortunately.
available.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
But like, if I'm not available, go ahead. We don't all have to be there, right? Like,
So I'm
do
going
you
to
wanna
stop
try it?
recording. By the way, I'm going to stop recording. Stop
Oh,
recording
yeah,
now.
stop recording.
Okay.
Sorry.